My name is Aidan. I'm going to be talking about anacondas and indigenous tribes and the dangers that come with exploring them. Have any of you ever heard about the giant invasive snakes in Florida? Okay. Maybe. Have any of you heard of the giant anacondas in the Amazon rainforest? Okay, all three of you, perfect. Well, you're going to be learning a little bit more about them today. Why is it imperative that we talk about it? Well, first off, there's a big deforestation problem going on right now. A lot of the Amazon's being burned down, and a lot of trees are being cut down for the cities, and a lot of homes are being destroyed, and as well as the wildlife is being destroyed. So finding these snakes and finding these massive anacondas, since they're so protected, they kind of set a barrier around the forest and disallow people from coming in and destroying the land. I would say the best way of putting it is, if you find a giant snake in the Amazon, you're probably going to solve more problems than just finding like smaller snakes, and that's just the way that it goes. So there's one man doing that right now. His name's Paul Rossi. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Joe Rogan. He had him on the podcast, and they were kind of talking about like all these different problems going on, and he goes into the Amazon all the time and has to deal with all these problems with like different animals and stuff like that. Has the record right now, the world record for catching the largest anaconda in captivity, which was 18 feet. That one was about 2 or 3 years ago. He's held a 27-foot anaconda in his arms before. He went with him and a couple other guys, and they didn't have enough people to capture the snake, but he jumped on it, and he said that the width of the snake was so big he couldn't touch his two hands together, which is pretty impressive size. A lot of locals in the area of the Amazon said that there are 30-plus foot anacondas deep in there, and they're so hard to find because the way the Amazon is laid out, there's these swamps that have grass beds on top of the water. So all these anacondas do is they lay on top of this grass, and the second somebody or something steps on it, it's like a massive membrane that just flows all the way around and senses the snake that there's danger in the area. So these snakes especially the old ones, are super smart, and they know to be wary of people and humans. Looking a little bit more at like the danger aspect of it, other than the piranhas, the panthers, the crocodiles, the caimans, the diseases, the spiders, the venomous snakes, and everything could kill you there. You have to worry about these snakes, and even though an anaconda is most likely not going to do anything to you, you still have to be wary about it. But Paul Rossi says the biggest thing that they worry about in the Amazon is the indigenous tribes, or the uncontacted tribes, which are cannibals. So not all of them are, but they're pretty highly like territorial. And he's run into 2 encounters with them. One time when he was 19 years old, he moved to the Amazon with a bunch of bird researchers. They're looking for a bunch of rare macaws. And when they went in, they found this tribe, and they were greeted with spears. They weren't friendly. They had like pretty vicious threats towards the group. So Paul Rossi and the crew decided that they weren't going to mess with them, and the local people said, if you ever like go off the beaten track, like path on the river bend, like don't go off where it's not the main river, like don't go downstream. Well, Paul Rossi, when he was 19, being a little adventurous, trying to find these 30-plus snakes on his own, went down this path. And when he went, he got about, I think it was a week away from everybody else, and he came around this bend and saw smoke in the air. And when he saw the smoke, he thought of like all the tribal people saying like, don't go there, like you're gonna regret it. These people, like they don't treat you well. Once he got around that corner, he's like, I need to see what this is. If I don't see what this is, I'm not gonna sleep with it, you know what I mean? So he went around the bend. There was a bunch of huts set up on the beach, spears in hand. He made eye contact with them. They were about 800 meters away. They started coming towards him. He realized, like, if I don't do something here, I'm just gonna be another story of some stupid American that got killed like off in the Amazon. So he blew up his raft. He then set sail a week back, being hunted by this tribe of cannibals, presumably, and he was dealing with disease. He barely slept. The one night that he slept, he had visions of being like eviscerated and just terrible things that you could think of, especially being hunted by people. So he made it back eventually and told everybody like his story and stuff. And that's kind of what he was talking about with Joe Rogan on the podcast. And it's like something to think about. It's pretty weird. And another topic that they kind of like went over as well about these like massive snakes was in World War II, there was this colonel who flew over the Congo. And if you think about it, like I asked in the beginning, the questions with like Florida and the Amazon, Amazon's super highly dense in rain, and it's a rainforest, so a massive snake seems likely. Now Florida's having that problem with Burmese pythons being invasive and taking over and getting bigger and larger because they're just mainly competing against alligators, and they're just eventually just gonna get bigger and bigger or outpopulate alligators. But with that being said, the only other place that has a wet tropical environment that doesn't have a large snake is the Congo. And Paul Rossi says that if anywhere was going to have a massive snake, it's going to be the Congo. And this World War II general could back up that statement by when they flew over, they saw an estimated like 40 to 50 foot snake over the Congo. Just think about that size. This room is maybe 30 feet wide. 40 foot snake is longer than this room. It's crazy to think about. But with that all being wrapped together, massive snakes and all, and dangers that come with it, the big problems like deforestation in the Amazon, if we could bring awareness to all these snakes being captured and showing that there's this massive wildlife flourish and all these snakes can be preserved to their natural habitat without being destroyed, then